Thus far, we've been looking at factorial design in DOE, and that's allowed us to understand how multiple levels of a factor interact. So one way we might look at that is, say, we have temperature, and factor A is 100, 110, 120, and then factor B is some other setting. Let's say we have a low, medium, high, and we're looking for interaction, we're looking at main effects. But one of the things we often do is we just want to look at the existing state or some new state. And this is one of the reasons why we look at H naught as the no change case. Are we going to stay with the existing? Or are we going to look at some alternative? With only two options, this introduces the idea of factors that only have two levels. We call this 2 to the k design, and we use it a lot. So let's jump into it and understand it right now. A good starting point is remembering our Cartesian coordinate system. And at the origin, we have 0, 0. Let's say up 1 unit on the x-axis, we have 1, 0. And up here, we have x-axis is 0, y value is 1, and then 1, 1 right here. And we use this Cartesian coordinate system to represent the levels of our treatments, or our levels of our factors, when we're only looking at two. So let's kill 110, let's kill medium. We only want to deal with low and high. So you can imagine the x-axis being factor A, and the y-axis being factor B, basically describing your levels. So at the origin, we have low level A and low level B. And in this case, that would be factor A would be at 100. And at the high level is at 120. Likely, I don't know, for factor B, let's just use L and H, right? L and H. And let's say in orange, if we want to know the levels of this point, we could either say 100 L, so, or let's say if we're doing coordinate axis, we do 0, 0. If we're looking at the levels of the factors, we could do 100 L, and then what we do is for the factor levels, we might say minus, minus. In other words, the factor A is at a low level, and factor B is at a low level. Likewise, if we look at this one right here, we'd say that factor A is at a high level and factor B is at a low level. So similar to the coordinate axis approach. And factor B, this area right here would then be minus, plus, and of course this would be plus, plus. So that's one way that we talk about different levels of our factors. The second way that we talk about it is we talk about which factor has a high setting. So let's look here. Factor B is low. So it's only factor A that has a high setting. So we use lowercase, we say A. Up here, it's the flip side of that. So this one is just B. Up here, where both of them are high, is AB. And where we see neither of them, we simply do parentheses 1. So in summary, if we were to look at the levels of our factors, say factor A is here, we can make a little grid, and factor B is here. Cut that grid into fourths, and this is high, this is low, this is low, this is high. What we see is we have negative, 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 positive, positive, negative, positive, positive, or we can do that as just one. Let's see, factor, what's high here? B, AB, and A. And actually the way we often write it is like this. We use the letter designation on the left. It kind of builds in height, you could think of it, starting with low on both, building to high on both. And A and B starts off doing negative. And when we do that, it's negative, positive, negative, positive. And when we look at B, It does the same negative positive alternation, but it's two negatives and then a positive. This is important. This is what we call standard order, and it's how we'll be ordering our 2 to the k designs going forward. So in summary, when we do 2 to the k design, we have 2 ways of designating the levels for each of the factors. And in addition, when we look at the combination of the factors, there's a certain order that we follow when we talk about it that really covers all the options. So hopefully this gives you a good start at the vocabulary we use using 2 to the k.